Good afternoon. Today we are reviewing for our Chapter 4 test. So first it says, write the coordinates of the point. Reminder that our coordinates are always in parentheses. X comes first, and then Y. X is our x-axis, giving directions of maybe somewhere where to go. X, we always have to go left or right first, starting from the origin, going left or right. And then Y is always up and down. So if you want to number the rest of the lines, so you have them all numbered, feel free to do that. -1, -2, -3, and then going down is also negative. Alright, so let's take a look. First we need to find the coordinates of point A. We want X and then Y. So point A is right here. So from the middle, x-axis first, we're going to the right, 1, 2. And then Y, we're going up, +1, 2, 3. So our answer is 2, 3. X first, and then Y, we went up. Next, let's find the coordinates of point B. From the middle, we're going X left and right first. We're going to the left, -1, -2, -3. And then to get to point B, on my Y-axis, I'm going up, just 1. Up is a +1. Then point C is right here. First on my x-axis, we're going to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going down, -1, -2. And then last, point D. Right here, this is a tricky one, be careful now. X, we did not go left or right. If we're starting here, we just went nowhere, left or right. Then on my y-axis, we went down, -1, -2, -3. So be careful. Some of you might want to do that the other way. This is correct. X is left and right, we went 0. Then y, we went -3, which is down 3. Then we learned how to make a table and graph an equation. First, we need to solve for y first. We want y all by itself. So how do we move this -2x to the other side? The opposite of subtracting 2x would be adding 2x. So those eliminate. We have y equals, and write your x's first, 2x minus 5. There's our equation. Now we can make our table to graph. I'm going to make my xy table with my equation in the middle, 2x minus 5. And it tells me my domain, what I'm plugging in, is -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So that's what we're plugging in for x, -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. And like I said, those numbers are going in for x. So first it says 2 times x, and x is first a -2. And then we have to subtract 5. So some of you can do this in your head, others of you might want to use a calculator. It says 2 times a -2, and then we have to subtract 5. That gives us a -9. Then we're going to plug in a -1. 2 times x, which is -1, and then subtract 5. If you want to type it all in at once, you can. You can also use parentheses, just like I have written. -1 and then -5 gives me a -7. Then we're going to plug in a 0. 2 times 0 and -5. We shouldn't need a calculator for this one. Anything times 0 is 0. So 0 minus 5 is -5. Some of you might see a pattern. We're going up by 2s, -9, -7, -5. Next would be -3, 2 more, and then 2 more would be a -1. If you're not sure, we can still plug in the 1 and the 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 minus 5, yep, that's -3. And then last, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 5 is a -1. So we have our points here, x comma y. X is -2, y is -9. Then we have -1, -7. 0, negative 5. I'm just going to write out all my points. 1, negative 3, 2, negative 1. So this is my x-axis, this is my y-axis, and we're going to plot our points. X first is a negative 2, positive our numbers are to the right, so negative is to the left 2, and negative 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 would be way down here, so we're just not going to plot that one, doesn't work. Then our next point is negative 1, down 7, and I just counted 7 was the edge, so I know that one's right there. Then 0, negative 5. X is left to right, 0, we didn't go anywhere. Y is just down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you want to number the lines, you can do so. Then our next point, I'm just going to make these red so we can see the difference here. Our next point is 1, negative 3. So X is 1 to the right, and then down 3, right there. Remember, we should be forming a nice straight line, so if you don't, you made a mistake. And then last 2 on my x-axis, 1, 2, and then negative 1 is down 1, right there. So draw your line through those points. You can connect the dots there, they should form a nice straight line, and put arrows on the end to show that it could go on in both directions. Same thing on our next problem. We're going to do the exact same thing again. But this one is not solved for y. We have to get y all by itself. So first I'm going to move the 2x. It's a positive, so I'm going to subtract 2x. So we have negative 8y. Can't combine those, write your x's first. Negative 2x plus 48. And then last, the opposite of multiplying is divide. So 8 over 8 cancels out. 2 negatives here make a positive. 2 over 8, we can simplify 2 over 8 if we divide by 2. That's really 1 over 8 divided by 2 is 4, so 1 over 4 x. And then negative and positive, those don't get along. 48 divided by 8, well, what times 8 is 48? 6 times 8 is 48. So here's our equation. Now we need to make a table so that we can graph. Ooh, that was a really big table. Too big. And then this time our domain, what we're plugging in, they have multiples of 4 because our denominator is a 4. So that's why they chose negative 8, negative 4, 0, 4, and 8. If our denominator was a 3, we would choose multiples of 3. Oops, 0, 3, and 6. If our denominator was a 2, we'd choose multiples of 2, like negative 4, negative 2, 0, 2, 4. So that's where those numbers are coming from. Our denominator was a 4, so they chose multiples of 4. So our equation goes in the middle, 1/4 x, and then minus 6. So first let's plug in a negative 8. It says 1 over 4 times x, which is a negative 8, and then we're going to subtract 6. So I'm going to plug that in my calculator. 1/4, remember you always put fractions in parentheses, 1 divided by 4, and then times a negative 8, and then we have to subtract 6. Our answer should be a negative 8. Then we're going to plug in a negative 4. 1/4 times negative 4, and then we're going to minus 6, subtract 6. So again, in parentheses, 1 divided by 4 times negative 4, and then minus 6. I get a negative 7. Then I'm going to plug in 0. 1/4 times 0. Anything times 0 is just 0. And then minus 6, I should get negative 6. So some of you might see a pattern, negative 8, negative 7, negative 6. Next should be negative 5, and then negative 4. If you want to plug them in, you can, but you know if you find a pattern, it will continue. So our points here, x is negative 8 and y is negative 8, right here. Then we have negative 4, negative 7, 0, negative 6, 4, negative 5, and 8, negative 4. So let's plot these points. X is negative 8, negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Negative 8 doesn't even fit. Can't even plot that one. So let's go to the next one. Negative 4 on my x-axis, and then y is negative 7, so that's not up, that's down. I'm going to take a second to number these. So we went negative 4, and then negative 7 right there on the bottom. Then 0, we're not going left and right. We're right in the middle, and then negative 6 is down 6. Then x is 4, 4 to the right, and down 5. And then last 8. 8 isn't even on our graph, but we would be down 4. If you wanted, you could plot it, but it doesn't really fit. So connect the dots there. That's what our line would look like for that equation. We did 3 steps. We solved for y, that gets you some points. You made a table, that gets you some points. And then we graphed the equation. That gets you some points as well. Then we learned how to find slope. It says I can find slope and rate of change to graph linear equations. So this is our slope man. Remember, we read slope like we read a book from left to right. So from left to right, this is positive. From left to right, this is negative. From left to right, this is 0. And this one vertically, up and down, this is undefined. You can shorten it to UND. So this one, right now, I know it's from left to right going down, a negative slope. But it actually wants me to find it. Not just tell me what it is, find it. So we're going to get in our elevator. And remember, it's rise over run. Getting in our elevator, we have to go up and down first. Elevators don't go left to right. We're going to go down negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Always as a fraction. And then we're running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That would be an acceptable answer, but if you can, simplify it. We can divide both of these by 3. 3 divided by 3 is negative 1, because there's a negative there, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. So to get from one point to the next, got in our elevator, went down 3 and over 6, and simplified. Next, we're going to do the same thing, but we have to plot the points ourselves first. So x is 1, so 1 to the right, and negative 4 is down 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this point is xy, x is 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then negative 7 is all the way at the bottom. So those 2 points I can draw a line through, and I need to find my slope. Rise over run, up and down, and then left to right. Get in my elevator here first. I'm going to go down negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Get out and walk over 1, 2, 3, 4 doors down. That's my slope, m. It's how I'm moving. I like to think of m as how I'm moving. I'm going down first, and then I'm going over 4. And our last one like this. Here's x, here's y. If you want to plot your points or number the lines, you can. X is first a negative 3 to the left, and then negative 1 is down 1. And then our second point, x is 6, 6 to the right, and up 2. positive 2. I'm going to connect those 2 points. And then find my slope, rise over run, how I'm moving. From this point, I'm rising 1, 2, 3. And this is here, so that was 1, 2, 3. Rise 3. And I'm running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That would be an okay answer, but I want to simplify. I can divide by 3. 3 over 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So my slope is 1 over 3. Next it says find the slope of the line that passes through the points. I didn't give you graphs here because I do not want you to graph them. Don't graph. We can find the slope without graphing them using our slope of a line. There is a poster on the wall that says slope of a line, and it says y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That poster is not going anywhere. You can use this equation on your test. So let's label our points x, y's. This is our first point, so I'm just going to label that 1's. And this is our second point, so they get 2's. And all we have to do is plug it in. So first, y2, right here our second y is 5, minus y1, which is also 5. Then on the bottom, x2, right here, which is 2, minus x1, which is a negative 2. So this minus came from the equation right here. This negative comes from the 2. So those two negatives next to each other make a positive. 5 minus 5 is 0. 2 plus 2 is 4. 0 divided by anything is just 0. This one is okay. If it's okay, it's just 0. Let's try the next one. X, y, that's my first point. X, y, that's my second point. And let's plug them into our slope formula. y2 first, right here is 10, minus y1, which is 3. Then on the bottom, x2 minus x1. So x2 is negative 8, minus x1, which is a negative 5. Again, those two negatives make a positive. So I'm going to simplify. 10 minus 3 is 7. And negative 8 plus 5, different signs subtract. 8 minus 5 is 3. But there's more negatives, so it's a negative 3. Can't simplify that, so that is our answer. 7 over negative 3. And then the last one. Label your points x, y, that's my first point. X, y, that's my second point. And then let's plug them in. y2 first, right here is 5, minus y1, which is 1. That's on the top. And then our x's on the bottom. x2, which is 1, minus x1, which is a negative 7. Those two negatives make a positive. 5 minus 1 is 4. 1 plus 7 is 8. But we can simplify by dividing by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Now that's okay. We can go even further. We can divide by 2 again. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And 4 divided by 2 is 2, 1/2. Some of you would have said, hey, can't we just divide by 4 right away? The answer is yes. You'll get the same answer. So we found our slopes by using an equation instead of using a graph.